Hi, I'm Bill Mosley, and you're in the horror basement. Lick my plate, you dog bitch.
What's up, everybody? It's Yeti here. Welcome to the Horror Basement Interviews, where usually me, Jim Jam, and Johnny sit down and talk to a variety of interesting people. Tonight, however, it's just me and Jim Jam. We're recording a little later than usual, and Johnny seems to think he needs a full night's sleep to function at work tomorrow or some bitch-ass shit like that. So it's just us here burning the midnight oil. We're here with Tony Wash, writer and director of The Rake. It's going to be directing a new film coming up starring Sid Haig called High on the Hog, and we'll talk about that here shortly. Also, writer and director of one of my top 5 movies of 2018, easily Skeleton in the Closet, Tony Wash.
Wow, that's one of the nicest compliments I've gotten in a long time. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. It made my Halloween must-watch list. I've made everybody in my house sit through it at least once. Everybody I've showed it to loves
it. That's great. Thank you. So what did everybody else think? Did they enjoy it too, or did they think it was terrible?
Everybody I've showed it to really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I love the whole 80s feel of it, so yeah, I enjoyed it.
Good. Well, wow. I mean, top 5 movies of 2018 is a hell of a compliment. I mean, we're almost on November here, so hopefully it doesn't get bumped off the list before the end of the year.
Well, you got Terrifier. You're in good company because Terrifier's on there.
Yeah, that movie's batshit crazy.
Yeah, it is. So let's talk Skeleton.
For sure.
So I don't know if I read this right or Johnny said something about it earlier, but did you just do the first the film, like the grandma one, or did you do the whole movie, or how was that?
So basically, we started making Skeletons in the Closet 6 years ago, and it was originally just the Chop Shop movie, which they're watching on the show Skeletons in the Closet. Mm-hmm. So I had directed the Grandma O'Malley Pantry short film, and then my co-director Ben Lewandowski did the segment with the 2 guys running through the junkyard called The Dismantler, and we had those 2 movies and kind of wanted to try and do something with them bigger than just 2 short films. And so I had the concept for Skeletons in the Closet in my head since I was probably in college, so about 15, 20 years now, and suggested that we utilize that and then another person in our film family, Rian Owen, had done the short film Meisner, which was it was the girl tied to the chair in the basement. We thought that since she is in the content in the junkyard where she's all ripped in half and, has that television set sitting next to her in the static, that it would play really well if we kind of showed that she's in hell as well and kind of used her short film in this as well. And so, all together between my short film with the grandma, Brian's short film with the girl tied in the basement to the chair, and then you've got Ben's short film of the 2 guys in the junkyard. That was about 50 minutes of the movie. And then the wraparound content of the guy, it's kind of the first person point of view of the guy going through hell, which is kind of like just more of the junkyard type of thing. But he's in like the elevator with the body cube and all these weird people that he's talking to. That segment was directed by myself and our cinematographer, Robert Patrick Stern. And then when I approached Ben and Rob, who are my co-producers, about turning this into Skeletons in the Closet, I basically told Ben that if he's down with this idea, that he and I would co-direct the wraparound segments of the widow and Charlie in the basement and the little girl Jamie and her babysitter Tina watching the show. So we co-directed those 2 pieces. So collaborative effort all together.
Well, excellent job.
I didn't realize there's so much that went into it.
What was that?
I didn't realize there were so many pieces to it. Like that's pretty crazy. It all came together really well.
I think that's what I'm most shocked about is how well it, in my opinion, and I appreciate you saying the same thing, that it came together, because we made Grandma O'Malley's Pantry in May of 2012, and we made Ben's movie The Dismantler in between 2013 and 2012. We made Meisner, which was the girl tied to the chair in the basement, was 2014. And then we shot the wraparound content in the junkyard in 2013. And we didn't shoot the horror host and hostess stuff and the little girl and the babysitter stuff until 2017. So the fact that it was all able to come together, and that's part of what Ben does really well as an editor. He wasn't just the co-director on these movies, but he also was the primary editor on the film, and he always does such a wonderful job of putting everything together and having it make sense despite being totally batshit crazy as you're watching it. Which you had brought up High on the Hog, the Sid Haig movie that I directed. Ben edited that as well, and that is significantly more batshit than Skeletons in the Closet is. You guys are going to love it. It's off the wall great.
I'm excited for that. I didn't get to watch the trailer. I did see, I pulled it up earlier. There's an X-rated trailer on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be great.
Yeah, there's a lot of boobs in it. That's for sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. When does that come out?
Everything's been delivered to the distributor, and this just recently happened, maybe a month or two ago. So we're kind of at that point where we're just waiting to see what their plan of attack is for getting the movie out there. I've heard everything from it should be available in the next couple weeks to the end of the year to early next year. So we really don't have any information on the specifics. But I do know that when it does come out, that we're definitely going to be obviously pumping it out there as much as possible, because it's got Sid Haig in it, and it's one of the last films that Robert Z'Dar was in, who was Maniac Cop, and it was in a bunch of other movies like Tango and Cash, and so we're really excited for people to see one of his last performances, because he does great in it, and Sid's just awesome. He's a really great leading man, and he plays Big Daddy, who's a farmer who has to start growing marijuana to keep his farm away from the government, because he can't pay the property taxes and stuff, and he's got all these girls and guys that live with him, kind of like the Manson family, but they're not crazy. They're actually like good people. They just grow weed and sell weed, and so it's a movie about family and about integrity and about love and about being there for one another, but it's also a movie about blood, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and all that fun shit. So it's a pretty cool movie.
Hey Yeti, how did you start talking to Tony?
I found out about Skeletons. That's how I started talking to him, was reaching out for a screener. I follow Adam Michaels. He plays Charlie, one of the the bride's co-hosts. He's a killer artist too. He started posting some behind-the-scenes pictures and stuff, and the movie just looked really fun. So I had to dig and find more.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things with independent filmmaking where when you don't have like a large-scale marketing campaign with a lot of money behind it, you kind of have to get the word out any way you can. And thankfully, we've got some people who are a part of the movie that were really excited about it, including Adam. Did you see any of his posts after the premiere where he was just running around singing the theme song?
Yes, that was awesome.
Yeah, he's just like running around Chicago like skeletons in the closet. But Adam is an amazing artist, and it was really cool because we shot the stuff with the widow, which is Ellie Church, and Charlie, which is Adam, in March of 2017. And then a month later is when we shot the stuff with Jamie, the little girl, and her babysitter, Tina. And I set the production schedule up like that because I wanted Jamie to be wearing a T-shirt that had the widow and Charlie on it. So when we shot the stuff with the Widow and Charlie, we took a picture of them. Our behind-the-scenes photographer, Nikki DeFilippis, took a picture of it. And then we had our friend Daniel Del Purgatorio create the shirt design, and our production designer on the on that segment created a shirt for Jamie to wear. And then while we were doing that, Adam's kind of like, I'm an artist. If you need help with anything, let me know. And I had seen some of his sketching, and he's just such an incredible artist that I said, we need, the little girl is reading a comic book at the beginning of the movie. And then at the end of the movie, you see that the comic book has an advertisement in it for the Widow's shirt. And if you buy the shirt, like in the commercial in the movie, all of her products come with a free bottle of Widow's Kiss, which, as we all know, is the poison that she used to kill her husband, Charlie. And so I asked him if he would be interested in drawing the comic book advertisements for the comic, and he was very excited about it. And so he gave us 2 pages. There's the page of the Widow's advertisement, which is really awesome. It's like a big drawing of Ellie wearing the Skeletons in the Closet t-shirt. And then she has, there's like a Charlie stuffed animal that you can buy. And then it's got the free bottle of Widow's Kiss advertisement. And you can also buy, if you look closely, it's on camera for a second, unfortunately. But if you look closely and you pause it, you can see some of the other episodes you can buy on VHS. Like there's Return of the Lamprey, I think, is on there, and Piranami, which is another movie that we want to do. I'll Rest When You're Dead, I think, is one of the other movie titles, or I'll Sleep When You're Dead. Mud and Blood is another movie title. And then he did a second page with a bunch of other merchandise that you can buy, including like an 8th scale model of the Rake monster from our movie The Rake, which I know we're going to talk about in a bit. And then there's also High on the Hog trading cards, as well as a Mary Jane hotline. And Mary Jane is played by Ellie Church, who's the widow in Skeletons in the Closet. And she plays a fun topless token DJ in a High on the Hog, and she kind of talks us through chunks of the movie. And so we had done a hotline for her and some other fun advertisements as well. And Adam just did a hell of a job creating all of it for us. So it's really cool to be able to tie in people's multiple talents when you're making a movie. It's all about collaborating.
I was saying he's a killer artist. He's got I'll give him a plug. He's doing a Halloween series right now. He's auctioning off a piece a day on Instagram. It's Adam's Art Box. You should go follow him, because Charlie's the most entertaining corpse ever.
Yes, it was really cool because Adam's a performer. He's a singer in a band. I always get the name wrong. I think it's Cowboy Jukebox is the name of his band, and they're pretty popular in the Chicagoland area from what I've seen. I haven't gone to see a show yet. Hey Adam, if you're listening, you need to invite me to your next show, because I don't know when you guys are performing. He's a performer by trade, and he's been in a couple of films that him and his buddies have put together. We talked, and we ended up casting him, and I worked through some rehearsing with him. And it was interesting to see how different he was, especially the way he sounded from being, during the rehearsals. And then once he was actually with the mask on and performing in the basement next to Ellie, it's like a totally different personality. And it was really cool. He hit it on every level. And I'm so glad that he was a part of the team. And obviously he's very excited about the movie and enthusiastic about promoting it. So I'm thankful.
He did. He really killed it as Charlie. So I got to know, man, is there a sequel? Are we going to actually get a Skeletons in the Closet series? What's up, man?
It's really funny because my girlfriend earlier was like, you really need to try and get them to, you need to plug that a bit more. So try and get them to talk about that as much as possible. And so she's sitting here and she just smiled because she's like, that's so funny that you brought that up. So I appreciate you saying that. We are trying to develop Skeletons in the Closet into a television series that we would get on a streaming service like Shudder or
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
or Hulu or anything.
Shudder would be one to have because yeah, it's all horror.
Yeah, the only problem is Shudder's doing Creepshow with Greg Nicotero. And, I had sent them the trailer for Skeletons months ago before they announced that they were doing Creepshow. So if they were in the talks with them at the time, that would make sense as to why they didn't respond to my email inquiry. But, it would have been cool. It would have been a perfect fit. But there's plenty of other places out there that would potentially be interested in original content like this. And I think it would be very popular, especially if we were able to release it, this time next year. So our distributor, Cow Lamp Films, who are out of Chicago, are awesome. They are super supportive and very, very awesome about being like partners with us. And so they like our ideas and they like the product that we created with the movie. So they're very interested in trying to work with us in getting this show produced. So we're starting to have meetings with them in the next couple of weeks to discuss what it'll take to get that done. And so just keep your fingers crossed,
Definitely.
It'd be badass.
Yeah.
It would. I'd watch the hell out.
Yeah, we're at this point, we've got, I think, 9 ideas for episodes. We're looking at doing hour-long episodes. Each episode would be one short film that they would be watching on the show. And then, we just have to figure out how it all works. But it wouldn't be an anthology like the movie was, where, they're watching Chop Shop, which is 4 short films within the 2 storylines, of the widow and Charlie and then the little girl and the babysitter. We would try and simplify it for a 55-minute episode. But we're really, really excited about the possibility of getting that going and hope that we can find some people eager to be a part of it with us.
I'd personally like to see a continuation of Jamie's story, but that's just me.
Yeah, I agree completely because I'm a big fan of the Jamie storyline too. My idea has always been that the widow and Charlie are kind of our crypt keeper Elvira dynamic, the horror host. Up in Chicago here we have Svengoolie. I don't know if you guys have a horror host type of show down in Tennessee. I know there's a lot on the internet now that are becoming popular, but to me, the Jamie story was always the potential of creating kind of an 80s sitcom, like any of them, Married with Children, Give Me a Break, The Facts of Life, Small Wonder, any of those types of shows, that primarily take place inside a house. I mean, even more recent ones like that 70s show or, what's that show with all the nerds? Big Bang Theory,
Yeah.
It's like all of these shows are all these sitcoms, they primarily take place in an apartment or in a house. And so we could do the same thing, but you make it more morbid and demented. You make her the family of serial killers that moved in next door. And so it's like The Burbs meets, Married with Children. And I just think that would be a lot of fun. So, at this point, that's what we've been doing is we've been working on writing pilot episodes and, kind of formulating what the first season would be consisting of. And it would be the widow and Charlie watching a short film. And so the short film would be like 30 minutes. And then the other 25 minutes of the show would be us spending more time with the widow and Charlie and hopefully with Jamie as well and the rest of her family. And the storyline is always that the killer that comes to Jamie's house in the movie is actually her brother, which is obviously my homage to Michael Myers, as well as a lot of other killers. If you watch the original Black Christmas, Billy, the killer in Black Christmas, is, that was his house. And he's coming home to be at home with Agnes. And, if you've ever seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
His mom / sister
funny.
or something.
Yeah, exactly. So if you actually watch Skeletons in the Closet and you pause it and you can zoom in on the refrigerator door, this is a fun little Easter egg. I had Lainey Carner, who plays Jamie in the movie, I had her draw a couple of things to put on the refrigerator. because I'm like a total nut when it comes to production design detail. And so I had her draw some stuff, and I started playing with her. Jamie Lainey rather, is a real big horror movie fan. She's 11 years old in real life, and she is a huge horror movie fan. And her mom and I are really good friends, and so I'm kind of like Uncle Tony. And so since her mom doesn't like scary movies, her and I will go see scary movies every once in a while. Like we saw Happy Death Day, and we saw 47 Meters Down.
Love it.
And yeah, she for being 11 years old, she's really fun because she absolutely loves scary movies. And so she really got into the part. She's like, oh, this is great. I'm in a horror film. I love horror films. And so I told her, I said, well, wouldn't you think it'd be cool if this killer that's stalking you guys is actually your brother, kind of like Michael Myers in Halloween? And she's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I'm like, so how about you draw a picture? And I gave her a bunch of markers and some paper. And I said, draw me a picture of your family, of your mom, your dad, yourself, and then your brother Billy, who escapes from the mental hospital. And so she comes up to me and she gives me this drawing, and it's her and her family, and they're all stick figures, of course. But her brother has red eyes, and and his hair is all frizzy and frazzled because he's crazy and he's escaped from the mental hospital. So if you pause it when she goes into the refrigerator to grab the butter for the popcorn, if you pause it with the refrigerator door open, you should be able to zoom in, and you could probably barely make out the picture that Lainey drew that's on the refrigerator of her family, including her crazy brother Billy. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun little tidbit that I actually haven't shared with anybody. So that's an exclusive for you guys.
Oh, snap. Got some exclusives over here. Hell yeah.
Yep. Tennessee Horror News is getting some exclusives.
We appreciate
But no,
that.
we're all about building a universe. You know, The Muck, which is the movie trailer that plays at the beginning of the movie, is a short film that we did 4 years ago, and we've tried to turn it into a feature-length movie. So, you know, my hope is that similar to what happened with Machete, and you know, they talked about doing it with Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving rather, and Don't, I think, was the other one. You know, all those movies during Grindhouse, it's like, that's kind of always been our hope, is that we could do something similar.
Online? Is it up in there?
Yeah, you can find The Muck online. It's a part of World of Death, which is our web series that we curate through bloodydisgusting.com. I think it's episode 24. It was the Halloween episode, I believe, in 2016.
Awesome.
And then you can also watch it on Scotchworthy's Vimeo page. So if you go to Scotchworthy on Vimeo, you can find The Muck on there. And it's just a 6-minute short about a girl. It's an 80s movie about a girl who comes home from Jazzercise and gets killed by a monster in her bathtub.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's basically like I channeled my favorite parts of, like, in Ghostbusters when Sigourney Weaver comes home and, you know, she's on the phone with her mom and she gets eaten by the monster in the kitchen, and that meets The Blob, where Creepshow's the raft. You know.
Awesome.
Yeah, check it out.
Definitely.
Hey, before we get on to talking about the rate, what is The Storm?
So, The Storm is a film that I tried to get produced and financed back in 2011. It's a roller derby alien horror film. So you basically got it sounds crazy, but it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, that's another movie that would be, I think if we were able to make that right now, it would be insanely popular, because I see these films that are coming out now that are in the same ballpark. You know, Night of Something Strange is an independent movie that kind of follows suit with that.
Oh, that movie's nuts.
That movie is batshit. Yeah. I'll tell you, I actually, and the funny thing, the fact that I actually brought that up is really funny coincidence, because we shot a teaser for The Storm, just like a little scene from the movie that we shot to try and promote the movie's Kickstarter page back in 2011. And it starred an actor I'd worked with a number of times before named Chad Meyer. He plays a doctor in my Nazi World War II zombie film, Chance from Hell. And then it also stars Janet Mason, who's an actress who I've met over the years, and she's worked on numerous projects with people that I know. And so she was in the Storm teaser, and she's actually in that Night of Something Strange. She plays the woman where the monster like comes out of her vagina. And I emailed her after I watched it because I didn't recognize her at first. And I emailed her and I was like, Janet Mason, oh my God, I just watched a monster come out of your vagina. I don't think I'll ever be the same again.
Yes. Yeti, have you seen that? You seen that movie, didn't you?
I watched the first part of it. My old lady wasn't digging it, so. But she,
yeah, it's tough to finish it when the old lady doesn't want to watch it with you, huh?
Yeah, and she she'll leave the house. Like I watched a Serbian film, and I'm the house the extreme horror guy, I guess.
Yeah.
So I watch a lot of exploitation shit. She'll just be like, "No, leaving."
Boy, I'll tell you, Serbian film is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from Skeletons in the Closet. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I won't even watch that movie because I know what happens in it. I won't even watch it.
I tell you what, it was a fucking day runner, man.
Yeah.
It was a day runner.
It made me nauseous.
Yeah.
Doesn't help that I have a fair-haired boy of about 7 years old. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was tough. It changed. I say that I didn't enjoy it, but it was well shot. It was like, you know, I rank it up there with one of the better movies I watched over the past year because it changed my perspective on like what a movie can do. I didn't enjoy
Definitely.
it. It was just like it just bent my perspective all out of whack. So it's powerful.
Yeah, it's crazy because when you real quick before we move on past this, it's shot and it looks like a blockbuster movie, like a well funded movie, but with a very fucked up shit in it. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about The Rake.
All right. What do you guys want to talk about?
Man, I love. Okay, I like read creepypastas all the time because somewhere in my head I'm still like 20, and seeing like all these internet horror stories coming to the screen like pumps me up. But the take on it that you guys had, where it was like that was fresh, and I really like that. Where did that come from?
So basically, we were trying to turn The Muck, as I talked about earlier, into a feature-length movie in 2014. We had taken the short film to a lot of bigger film festivals like South by Southwest and Screamfest and the Stanley Horror Film Festival, which was an awesome film festival that's not around anymore. In the later part of 2014, we kind of came to the realization that we just weren't getting any bites financially, and it was just going to be too difficult to produce the movie on our own. So we kind of said, all right, well, we're going to have to give up on this for the time being. And I was really disheartened and disappointed. And so I was over at my buddy Jason's house. Jason Kane is my special effects supervisor. We work together on every project that I've produced or directed in the last 8 years at this point. And Jason went to Tom Savini Special Effects School a few years after I graduated from there. And he's just an amazing artist and such an amazingly talented person. And he's also a big horror fan. So we'll always sit and we'll bullshit about scary movies and watch scary movies and just hang out. And so I was kind of just complaining to him about how upset I was that, you know, we weren't going to do The Muck because I really wanted to do The Muck. And Jason was like, you know, I've told you about this idea before. Why don't we take one of these creepypasta ideas and do like The Rake or something? And I'm not a big Reddit person, so I don't really know a lot about creepypastas. I know about Slender Man, obviously. And in the last couple of years, I've been watching the Channel Zero show on Sci-Fi. But other than that, It's a pretty cool show. The seasons kind of get wonky towards the end of each season. I feel like they start strong and don't finish well.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I've enjoyed them overall. I haven't seen the new one yet, but the first and the third seasons in particular, I thought Butcher Block or whatever it was called, and
I just finished that today.
Yeah, that like up until the last like episode or two, that was a really cool season, and then the same thing with the first season. I really liked the first season a lot until Candle Cove, up until I'd say maybe the last episode. But but regardless, so Jason showed me a story about the Rake. I read it, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, it's not like it's any different from any other creepy monster that lurks at the edge of your bed type of story. I've heard that take a million times, but for some reason, I don't know if it's because I was just pissed off that we weren't going to make the Muck, because I was really excited about making that, and for some reason something struck a chord with me. And so Jason, I kind of left it at, all right, I'll think about it. And a week or two later, I was in California with some of my co-producers, Rob Stern and Sarah Sharp. And we were there for Screamfest because we were showing the Muck at Screamfest. And while we were there, I just kind of sat and started pitching them the idea of doing the Rake. And I was like, look, we can contain it to one house. We can contain it to a small number of actors. And I think it'd be a great idea. And they were like, well, let's talk about it. So we started formulating ideas. And over the next month and a half, we were building ideas for the story. And I sat down with my co-writer, Jeremy Silva, and got him on board. And by the end of December, by Christmas, we had a script. And we were starting to talk to people about raising money. And we basically said, all right, we're going to go and we're going to make a low-budget horror film about this monster that's terrorizing these people. And I wanted it to be like Candyman or Freddy Krueger, where the monster is kind of supernatural. It's not totally physical, but it can become physical, like Candyman. Yeah. But it's a monster, and it's like an infestation. To me, the Rake is a pestilence. And I thought about naming it other movies like Pestilent. I thought about naming it, different things like that more involved what the creature does instead of the actual name of the creature. And everybody kind of always reverted back to the idea of, we should. But so basically, everybody kept saying, no, we need to call it the Rake. We need that name recognition. And the movie really doesn't follow suit with the creepypasta urban legends so much, and I hope that people don't have a problem with that. If there's traditionalists who like the story from creepypasta, they might be upset. But to me, I really like our take on it. It's more like a pestilence where it infects somebody's life and sucks all the happiness and positivity out of their life and makes them go crazy. And that's really what it does. And it starts doing that to the characters in the film. And so I don't know. I really like what we did with it. And,
Me too.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's one of those things where a movie evolves. A movie is not like, I don't think like any other piece of art or any other version of storytelling where you have a lot of people involved in making a movie. And so just because you're the director doesn't mean that the movie ends up being the way that you always pictured it in your mind when you read the script or when you wrote the script. And so the Rake is significantly different than it started out to be. But at the core, I'm really happy with the performances by my actors. I'm really happy with how the house turned out and how creepy it is and the atmosphere that we built. And I'm really happy with the monster. I think that the monster's fucking awesome.
Holy shit. That's the one thing. It's like the story got really diverted from the original source material or whatever. It's fine. It turned out great. But the monster, that's the Rake, like 100%. That was so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and that was my goal. Was it's from the start. I told people I want to make the Shining meets Alien. I want to create a movie that is brooding with atmosphere and tension. I'd like to create some red herrings with some of the characters, so you don't know who's killing each other, or if it is actually the monster that's killing people. And I wanted it to be creepy, and and then I want it to all be kind of rounded out with this awesome special effects full body creature suit that's not CGI. It's practical effects at its best. And we didn't have a lot of money, so the special effects were hindered because we didn't have a big budget and we didn't have a lot of time. We started writing the script in November of 2015, and we were shooting the movie in March of 2016 or 2015. Sorry. So we had the basically movie in through pre-production in like 4.5 months. And so it went very fast. But I'm really happy with how cool the monster turned out. And my favorite horror film is The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. So
Yeah.
I really wanted a really good transformation sequence. I wanted to see the monster tearing out of this guy's flesh, and just coming around and just being all bloody and slimy and gross. And I think that,
Nailed
the
it.
edit of the movie, in my opinion, doesn't showcase all the cool effects work that we did.
Oh, it's a shame.
It is a shame, but again, like I said, movies evolve, and so when you direct something, you kind of have to be able to be willing to relinquish control, sometimes, and that happened on The Rake, and that's okay, because the movie's out there and it's everywhere. People can rent it anywhere, on cable, on the internet. You can buy it at Walmart. You can rent it from Family Video. So it's everywhere. But it'd be nice if it was a little bit more in the image that I had pictured in my head, and would have contained. There's one shot in particular from the transformation at the end where the guy, he started ripping his face open. Spoiler alert. He started ripping his face open, so you can start to see the creature's mouth underneath his face. And he's got his hands all over his face, kind of like ripping at the flesh as he's tearing the flesh away to reveal the monster. And we had this awesome shot where he like reaches towards the girl, and he has all this slime and blood coming off of his hands, like stretching from his face to her. And it's just super slimy and gross. And it was cut from the edit. And it's really unfortunate, because it's like, dude, that's fucking disgusting. Why are you not showing that? But yeah, I mean, what the hell, and you hope that they're going to do, it justice. And so there's stuff in there that I love, and there's stuff in there that I don't love. But at the end of the day, the movie's out there and it's everywhere. And I hope that people, enjoy the stuff that I love about it. The good performances and the creepy atmosphere and the really cool special effects.
It was a hell of a time. I like watching it. It was fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it. You gotta review that up. So that's why I go check it out. And then you go rent it. It's worth it. Speaking of watching movies, Skeletons in the Closet is on Popcorn Flicks. Is that right?
Yes, you can watch it for free on Popcorn Flicks and Fright Picks, which is a subsidiary of Popcorn Flicks. Popcorn Flicks is like popcorn, and then the word flicks is Flix, and then Fright Picks is fright, and then Pix is Pix. So there's commercials inserted throughout the movie, but you can watch it for free. And I'll tell you what, I've had a couple people say, "Oh, these commercials are annoying." It's like, all right, well then suck up the couple dollars and rent the fucking thing, and quit bitching about the commercials if you want to watch it for free. You know what I mean?
Can you rent it on Prime? Is that...
Yes, you can rent it on Amazon. You can rent it or buy it on Amazon. You can also do that on iTunes, or you can pre-order a Blu-ray or from me. And pretty soon we'll have DVDs as well. We're going to have Blu-rays available in the next 3 weeks.
How much are they?
The Blu-rays are $25 plus shipping, and then the DVDs, I don't know what they're going to be yet because my distributor is doing those, but they'll probably be like $20. The Blu-ray, though, is awesome. The Blu-ray has amazing artwork included on it, and it's got some really great special features. We got a behind-the-scenes featurette that's over 30 minutes long. We've got outtakes as well as a gag reel and deleted scenes. We have a photo collage from all the behind-the-scenes from the movies. We've got interviews, a couple interviews, as well as a really great feature that shows us after the movie premiered in Chicago last month. Kind of, we spent 30 minutes talking about it to the audience, and so there's a video of that. We've got horror trailers on there from a couple of our friends' movies. So, and then there's also an Easter egg, another exclusive. We've got a hidden sequence on there that you have to find. That's really cool as well.
Do you happen to give any kind of director commentary?
And yes, we also have audio commentary from Ben and myself and our co-producer and cinematographer, Robert Patrick Stern. So it's chock full of shit. It's a dual layer Blu-ray. I mean, this thing was almost 50 gigabytes of stuff that we had to load on there. So,
Wow.
you know, it's totally worth the $25. You know, if you're a collector of physical media, the Skeletons in the Closet Blu-ray is something to have on your shelf.
Yeah, I'll holler at you about one of those when they.
Awesome. Yeah, it's called the Fuck Yeah edition.
Hey, Yeti, you want to bring up something about
Okay, we got. I was drinking whiskey one afternoon and it was raining, and I sent a voice message to Jimmy and Johnny, riffing as this Cletus Chatburn character, just super redneck, talking about the weather, and we developed it into this little audio skit thing. And I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna put this all together and start putting it out, it's gonna be Channel 13.
That's funny.
It's like 2 or 3 days before then, and I cut like a channel intro. I was like, Channel 13, fuck yeah. I was like, somebody make this reference somewhere.
Yeah,
that's funny.
After I watched them Skeletons in the Closet, I kept on saying, hearing Channel 13, fuck yeah, and I'm like, hold up. And I texted Yeti, I was like, did you get that from that movie? Sure enough, he did. So, but
yeah, we were at a film festival a week ago in Ohio, the Nightmares Film Festival, and it was really funny because the movie screened Thursday night, and for the rest of the weekend, people were coming up to Ben and I and saying, fuck yeah. And I was sitting in the theater after Skeletons had played and was watching a block of comedy horror short films. And the last film of the night, which is called There's One Inside the House, which was really cool. It's got Amanda Weiss from Nightmare on Elm Street in it. Yeah. And it's almost like, I call it a Chud fan film because it's got like a Chud monster in it. It's fucking cool as hell. And so the opening logo for the company that produced the movie is very 80s, and it kind of flashes across the screen like the Channel 13 logo in Skeletons. And these two guys sitting in the row behind me were like, fuck yeah, when it flashed across the screen. And I mean, that's the shit that makes this all worth it, you know, like spending all the hours and weeks and months and years making these movies. That's what makes it worth it. And hearing people like Yeti say that this was in his top 5 movies of 2018, that's what makes it all worth it, man. So it means the world to us to have your guys' support.
Yeah. Hey, I just sent you a link for the first first little episode of Channel 13, so you can.
Cool.
There's 4 episodes on that channel, that YouTube channel. But anyways, with that, we're gonna wrap it up soon. But first, we want to know: do you have any ghost stories?
I've never seen a ghost myself. I had this one time where my friends, we were all hanging out one night and we were playing Ghosts in the Graveyard. And because I used to live on an acre of land, so we used to always run around in the dark and, you know, have slumber parties and do that. And my friends swear that they saw a ghost one night when we were all playing, but I don't really know how truthful that was. But otherwise, I mean, I've heard plenty of creepy stories. I I always remember, and not even necessarily creepy. I've heard plenty of other stories. I had an ex-girlfriend whose grandpa had passed away, and she vividly recounts him. She was staying at her grandmother's house after it had happened, and she vividly recounts him coming into the room and saying goodnight to her after he had passed away. And so I always thought that was, not necessarily eerie, but more reassuring of the other side. But I've never actually experienced it myself. I don't know. My current girlfriend thought she had a ghost in her house the other night. She woke up in the middle of the night. Talk about scary. We just finished watching Haunting of Hill House, which was fucking awesome. It was a great show.
I'm on the last.
Oh man, I wish I was still watching it because I miss it. Like I want it. Like we're watching Making a Murderer season 2 right now, and it's like I almost want to get off the episode here when we're done recording and watch Hill House because it's so damn good. But I was away for the night, and she woke up at like 5 a.m. and heard voices talking, and was all creeped out. And she like grabbed a knife and turned all the lights on and comes out into her living room, and her fucking TV is on full blast. And she didn't turn it on. She had turned it off at night when she went to bed. So like, I guess maybe a power blip could have caused it to turn on, but she's like, Tony, it was scary as shit. I got out there, and the TV was on full blast, just talking away, and I don't know how that happened. So she turned it off. She went back into the room, locked the bedroom door, fucking slept with the knife under her pillow all night. Scary shit.
Holy shit. That's fucking spooky.
Yeah. But I've never seen a ghost myself. I always said I wish I would have, but I'm kind of glad I haven't because I probably shit my pants.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
That's where I'm at.
that's why I don't want to go ghost hunting because I'm afraid of what I would do if I did see a ghost. I would probably shit or piss myself or run like a bitch.
Right?
So
we love the scary shit, but it scares the shit out of us.
yeah, I don't want to really experience
I'm a
it.
hopeful skeptic. So like I would be okay with it, but I'd probably piss myself a little bit.
Yeah. Last night we were down in Bloomington Normal. We were at an event that was at this bar down there that this lady Sue had set up called that was like about it had like a bunch of horror authors that read excerpts from their books, and then my buddy Brian Wolford and I got up, and he runs a couple podcasts, and he used to run Drunken Zombie podcast, and we got up and kind of did our top 5 obscure horror films of the 80s and kind of recommended them to the audience that they could go and watch them this weekend before Halloween. And then she had Troy Taylor, I believe is his name, who's a renowned horror author. He does a lot of like haunted books and stuff. And he was telling some stories about some local Illinois, ghost stories, and had one about how he, I guess, used to work in this old theater and saw the ghost of a man dressed in like, I want to say it was like 1920s or 1930s wardrobe, who was just like sitting in his office one day, just like looking at him, like in the doorway of his office. And he's like, who the hell are you? And the dude like turns and walks out of the office. And when he goes into the hallway, the guy's gone, and like a door down the hall closed, I think, on its own. And he goes and opens the door and there was no one there. So shit like that's creepy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, that shit. Appreciate you coming on and talking with us, and looking forward to everything. High on the Hog is definitely going to be entertaining.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and I appreciate you helping me get the word out about these movies that we work really hard on. I mean, hundreds of people have worked on these movies with me, so if it wasn't for you guys helping us get the word out, no one would know about all this hard work and talent. And I work with a lot of really awesome people, so they deserve to get the word out. And hopefully your fans watch these movies and like them as much as you guys did. People can rent these anywhere online. You can rent The Rake on your TV cable provider. You can, like I said, you go to Amazon, you can rent both movies on Amazon. You can go to scotchworthy.com and you can pick up a copy of any of my movies on scotchworthy.com. It's like a bottle of scotch, and worthy like we are not worthy, but it's all one word, Scotchworthy. So I recommend people come and check it out, especially time right now. You know, it's the perfect time.
Definitely.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, you have a good rest of the night. We appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
For sure. Not a problem. Anytime.